What's going on, everybody? This is Nondescript Gaming, like the background in front of me. Yep. Got a new background, got a new setting. Take a look at the channel. I've done some extra housekeeping around there. Forgive the delay on part 2. Florida decided to have a hurricane. And for some reason, I like money and I still have a day job. I was in Lake City as a security officer for work. Went there for Helena, didn't leave till after frickin' Milton. Yeah, that was fun. And aggravating. But now I'm back, so I'm finishing part 2. This is the beginning of part 2, and hopefully we'll go from there. Enjoy my description of part 2 of Warhammer 40K Space Marine 1 Deep Dive Review. So we left off our game the last time we played Space Marine 1 at this point. So you just made it through a wave of orcs to play Distraction so that Veteran Sergeant Sidonis, Leandros the White Karen, and Inquisitor Drogon to escape. Then you make it to the small Imperial Guard encampment. Captain gives you a briefing on where to go, and you prepare and load into the Valkyrie for the next spot. The next piece, the next action adventure, the next fun part. So this next part is one of my favorite parts. You are in the transport area of a Valkyrie transport ship while you're taking on heavy anti-aircraft fire, and the orcs decide to attack you with storm boys. This scene, the way all the aircraft are lined up, reminds me of a World War II bomber run, which 40K draws a lot of inspiration from World War II, so it actually fits really well. Different fighters attacking and destroying the ships as they drop from the sky, and you have to shoot down the storm boys, which are coming at you. They have rockets attached to their backs. You have to shoot them, prevent them from crashing your Valkyrie that you're a passenger in. So you're basically playing as a gunner in a World War II bombing raid. Once again, like I said, that's pretty damn cool. This is one of my favorite parts of the review of the game. So that's the main reason. You can tell in the little bitty corner you got my avatar screen. I don't think I'm planning to do that for the entire review, but especially for this part, which is my favorite part, I definitely wanted to make that point out. So eventually, you shoot down a bunch of, as you can see, you shoot down a bunch of orcs, but eventually, they do overwhelm your Valkyrie, and you end up crash landing on a different, you end up crash landing in a unique section. And you got some of their aircraft coming in too. Overall, it's a simple section. Can I honestly say it's hard to lose in this section? But it's very fun. As I stated before, World War II. They drew a lot of inspiration for 40K from World War II and World War I. Daggone Brits. So, needless to say, this is a cool section. It's fun to play. And it's relatively quick. This next section is relatively quick. It's real quick. All you got to do is fight off the orcs a little bit. Once you eliminate all the orcs on this particular platform, you'll get a triggered cutscene from the captain telling you another Valkyrie's been rerouted to pick you up. Easy. Nothing really to complain. Some of them might hide a little bit behind cover, but other than that, simple. Pretty standard. So after the Valkyrie rescues you, you then make your way into the desert after you rendezvous with your team, Drogon, Sidonis, and Leandros. Once you rendezvous with your team, you head into the desert area going towards Drogon's laboratory. You are ambushed multiple times by orcs. Titus and his team have to fight through these ambushes. The weapons I recommend at the beginning is a melt-a-gun to handle large mobs of orcs on the ground, a stalker bolter to take pop shots at the snipers in Overwatch that includes Rocket Boys. Frickin' Rocket Boys. We already know how much I enjoy their company. Be careful, you can get overwhelmed quickly, and as soon as you can, an opportunity will present itself to get yourself a las gun. Get the las gun as soon as you can. Eventually, you're going to come up to a door leading into the laboratory and the next part of the game. Before you can make entry into the laboratory, you're going to have to deal with one final swarm of orcs coming towards you and attempting to deny you access. At this time, if you wish to take the demon hammer, feel free to take the demon hammer. It could help in the large mob of orcs, but it is my recommendation that you replace it soon, because the next section will require precision shooting with a scoped weapon. You can do it with just a bolter and a pistol, but a scoped weapon like a las cannon or a stalker bolter will make the next section more bearable as you go through the laboratory. This next section coming up is also an area where if you choose to keep the demon hammer, it wouldn't hurt. However, there will be targets that are up high that are going to shoot at you, and it would be easier to take them out with a scoped weapon, but their demon hammer would also come in handy here too, so it's a give or take if you still have the demon hammer. But there will be a part coming up soon that I will highly recommend you have already switched to the demon hammer. Correction, switched out the demon hammer for your next weapon. Power sword or chain sword, like anybody would go back to the chain sword, but still, it's your choice. In the end, it is your choice. I'll let you know when we get to that part where I recommend you swap out your demon hammer. And just like that, we're at that part that I was talking about. This is the moment that I specify that you switch to the demon hammer. Switch off the demon hammer. Take the force sword or the chain sword because you're going to need a scoped weapon. Las cannon or stalker bolter. Las cannon preferable because of the more damage, and on normal settings you can take them out in one shot. I have yet to play this game in hardcore. I plan to do that in the future, but right now I know that a las cannon can one-shot one of these turns that you're going to come up against. You're going to come up against multiple turns in this section that you're going to have to take out. The sooner you take them out, the better, because they do a lot of damage to you and they'll knock you out quick. You can do it with the demon hammer, but frankly, you're going to end up handicapping yourself for this section because you won't be able to use your las cannon with the scoped because of the limitations of the demon hammer. So you can still keep the demon hammer if you so choose. Maybe you'll need it later. However, in this section, a scoped weapon will make it a whole lot easier. Near the end of this section, you're going to find the Kraken Bolter upgrade. It is an upgraded version of your current bolter, doing more damage and the ability to pierce through light cover. After acquiring the Kraken Bolter upgrade, you've got another section of destroying turrets and maneuvering with some minor mob fights with some orcs, and eventually you end up into an armory. In that armory, you have once again a chance to change weapons, but at this point you should have already changed your demon hammer if you follow my recommendation, and you will get the upgraded Supreme Fury, which is an upgraded version to your current Fury, making it last longer, charge more, and does more damage. After a quick little scuffle with some orcs, you place the power source into its slot so it can be used as a weapon, a powerful weapon that will put an end to this orc invasion. Allegedly. Captain Titus and his battle brothers now take an elevator up to prepare for the activation of the Psychic Scourge weapon that will eliminate the orc threat. During that time frame, you are notified that the orcs have sabotaged the weapon, and now you must repair that sabotage and kill the orcs real quick before activating the Psychic Scourge. So the Great Psychic Scourge is activated, and it effectively eliminates all the orcs. And the Forge world returns to normal operation. And the war is over on this planet. And they all live happily ever after. Wrong! What do you think this is? Fairy tale land? No, this is the 40K universe. This is the grim, dark future of the 40K universe. There is no happy ending like that. There is no happy ending. Instead, the Psychic Scourge creates a portal into the warp, and from that portal arises the Space Marines' most notorious rivals, the Chaos Astartes, and Demon, the Scourge of the Warp, the 40K universe, the Chaos Space Marine Demons. Chaos Astarte. And the orcs are still here. The orcs are still here. They're still a threat, and they still want Titus. They love war. They think it's a little bit fun. Now they got the Chaos Humies to fight. It is at this time that you find out that Drogon has been a puppet the entire time. The Drogon you know in the game is not the Drogon that was in the Distress. He's been puppeted by the Chaos since the beginning to trick Titus and your squad into activating the Psychic Scourge so that the Chaos could use it as a warp gate. And, unfortunately, the orcs are still a problem, and at this moment, the resistance to the warp that Titus bears as a gift brings up concerns amongst his colleagues, mostly the Karen known as Leandros. Suddenly, the orc war boss survives his fall and recovers. Immediately, he attacks the Chaos Warlord, distracting him, allowing you a chance to recover, and the orc war boss and the Chaos Lord fall into the bottomless pit. And that's where the next section begins. You take the elevator down and begin progressing further. The demons that are now introduced vary in difficulty depending on what weapons you use against them. Usually plasma pistol, power axe is effective, but a demon hammer would be effective. But as you can see, the difficulty in getting to this section without a scoped weapon, weigh your options and determine if it's worth going through what you need to go through to bring the demon hammer for your first introductory to the demons. They're not that difficult to defeat with other weapons at this moment. Once you make it outside, you look at the spire that is now alleviating a large warp hole where demons and other creatures are escaping from. The decision is made to use the Titan and its powerful weapon, enhanced by the power source, to destroy the gate, to destroy the spire, so demons will stop entering our dimension. The next upgrade that you stumble upon is the Iron Halo. The Iron Halo is an increased, upgraded version to your current shield that you use. Basically, it's an overshield, but not as powerful as the one in Halo, but it's an increased shield compared to what you once had. It will take more damage. At the time of me recording this section, Space Marine 2 has been out for at least a month and a half now, and I can honestly say the Iron Halo representation in Space Marine 2 is better than the Iron Halo representation in Space Marine 1. But, nonetheless, this game is still fun. You've probably noticed on the screen the introduction to another new enemy, the Chaos Space Marine, the Astarte. They vary in their different abilities. Some are melee concentrated, some use ranged weapons like plasma cannons. However, they are very resilient, they're very tanky, so be careful. A demon hammer is effective in taking them down. Plasma guns are effective taking them down. If you get a headshot with a las cannon, you can take them down, but they take a lot of damage, so be careful. Keep the las cannon. We're gonna pick up ammo. At least we know this is a checkpoint, and I'll switch.
Duty requires that I put voice to my concerns.
Speak, then.
You held the unshielded power source again, Captain. And again, you emerged from the exposure unscathed.
Send a runner to the depot at position Alpha. Let's go.
You're not leading this raid.
Of course I am.
Lieutenant, we need you in one piece. Let's face it, you're holding us together out here, and if you get...
Codex Astartes warns that those in league with Chaos can withstand the warp's touch.
You forget yourself, Ultramarine.
Leandros, I do not take this warp resistance lightly. But the search for answers must wait.
until after we deal with this Chaos invasion.
What if that is too late?
Leandros, enough. We need to keep moving.
To those not familiar with the story, the lore of this game, may think, what's up with Leandros? You'll see why pretty much everybody who is a fan of the original Space Marine do not like that man. They don't like that Ultramarine. If you even want to call him an Ultramarine, no one really likes him. And you'll know exactly why very soon in this episode of Dragon Ball Z. The next enemy to come down the pipeline from the Chaos are commonly called Cultist, or commonly called Traitor Guard, Traitor Guardsmen. They are the Traitor Guardsmen. They are the grunts of this universe. They are the evil Imperial Guard, those who betrayed the Emperor and chose and fell to chaos. Now that I'm done telling you about the lore, they're basically very squishy. They're like the Gretchen. For the most part, you can smack them and they're done. Shoot them with small arms fire, they're done. They're very small, very weak, but there is a lot of them. So be careful, you'll get overwhelmed, and you die a few times like I did over the course of this game. It is now time to rendezvous with Lieutenant Mira and the rest of the Imperial Guard remnant on the planet. They're going to assist you, after you brief her on the situation, they're going to assist you to get to the Titan so that you can bring down the orbital spire and begin the progress towards the final passage. You're about midway through the game about this point. The next part is pretty self-explanatory. It's just a bunch of demons, orcs, and guardsmen fighting. You need to make your way through them to get to the guardsman's outpost. I'm just speeding this along for time. This next section is going to feel a little bit like a gauntlet. You're going to run through a lot of orcs, really quick, really fast. Try not to die like I did a few times. That's the best advice I can give for you. Use weapons you feel most comfortable with. Demon hammers come in handy. In this section, you could use the melt-a-gun and the last cannon to eliminate enemies as quickly as possible. So the demon hammer can be a more of a restriction, so once again it's your choice. But either way, there's no bad way to do this section other than you're going to fight through a gauntlet. And that is going to do me for part 2 of my review deep dive of Space Marine 1. Sorry for this taking so long for me to get part 2 out. Unfortunately, Florida decided to have a hurricane and it delayed me by a month. So now Space Marine has been out for about a month and a half at the time of this video, and I'm going back to playing it. So if you enjoy this game, then hit the like button and subscribe so you can see what else I bring up. I'm planning to bring out finisher move videos of all the finishers I've done in Space Marine 2. As well as Space Marine 1. I'm doing a hardcore playthrough of Space Marine 2 at this time, and we will see how that turns out. I'm also considering doing a hardcore playthrough of Space Marine 1. Angels of Death is the hardcore max difficulty in Space Marine 2. I believe it's the same thing for Space Marine 1. Nonetheless, I intend to do one, so once again, share that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when I drop my next one. Until next time, for the Emperor.